ngalweni ngiyokhalela bani nayi iphimbo lami liphindaphinde entabeni ngithi inyawo zami ngibeleze kulo mhlaba nemsindo ngifunana noxolo ey'ngalweni kukhala izimayemaye emzini kamkhulu umkhondolo usekhaya.
When a people's brokenness becomes content, best believe that someone somewhere is profiting from their brokenness. Sawubona to you, sawubona to yours. From one great spirit to another. Igama lami uThulani wakwaMalevo. Welcome to Ubizo Daily. Today we ask an uncomfortable question. Why is Black excellence often underfunded, but Black suffering is highly marketable? Why are stories of Alkebulan African innovation buried, but stories of Black death repeated endlessly? Why do algorithms reward dysfunction while discipline, healing, and nation building remain invisible? Today we speak about the commercialization of our pain as Black people and why trauma has become an identity. Let's talk about pain selling faster than healing. Let us begin with brutal honesty. Pain is profitable. Chaos attracts attention, violence creates headlines, scandal creates clicks, and many media institutions understand this deeply. A peaceful Black family building generational wealth, that rarely ever trends. A Black community building schools, that rarely dominates headlines. But crime, poverty, addiction, failure, violence, that is packaged and distributed quickly and faster than the speed of sound, because pain creates emotional reaction and emotional reaction creates profit. Let's speak about historical conditioning just before we go any further. This did not begin with social media. During colonial eras, Alkebulan African suffering was documented to justify colonization. Images of savage Africans, narratives of uncivilized tribes, stories that painted Black life as naturally chaotic. This propaganda helped to justify the theft that was there, the land disposition, religious invasion, economic exploitation. The world was taught to consume African pain as proof of African inferiority. And many of those systems still exist today, only that the platforms have changed. Let's talk about trauma as identity. This becomes dangerous when Black communities begin internalizing these narratives, when trauma becomes our only language, when struggle becomes our primary identity, when survival stories are celebrated but healing stories are ignored, and eventually people begin believing this is all we are. No, great spirit. We as Black people have suffered greatly, but we are not only suffering. We are inventors. We are builders. We are farmers. We are scientists. We are artists. We are spiritual leaders. We are architects of civilizations. Pain may be a part of our story, but it cannot be our entire identity. Let's talk about the addiction to watching pain. We must also confront ourselves. Why do we endlessly consume trauma content? Videos of violence, public humiliation, Black death, Black suffering, repeated over and over. At some point, consumption becomes participation. And when people become emotionally numb to suffering, they lose the urgency to change the systems producing it. Therefore, we cannot become spectators of our own destruction. Let's talk about reclaiming our narrative. Great Spirit, this requires intentional resistance. We have to support African filmmakers. We have to support independent journalists. We have to document our own stories, celebrate builders, celebrate educators, celebrate land restoration. We must celebrate discipline, celebrate healthy families. We must celebrate spiritual restoration. And we must tell fuller stories, not propaganda, but truth in its full complexity, pain and triumph, wounds and healing, history and future. And just before we close, let's talk about refusing to monetize our own brokenness. Some people will always profit from dysfunction, but we do not have to cooperate as Black people. We do not have to build careers from exploiting our own communities. We do not have to normalize dysfunction because it trends. We must ask questions such as, does this content heal us? Does it educate us? Does it mobilize us, or merely entertain people with our suffering? Because every generation must decide whether it will be consumed or whether it will rewrite the narrative entirely. So today, ask yourself, what stories about Black life do you repeatedly consume, and who benefits from these stories remaining dominant? Because a people constantly fed images of their own destruction may forget that they were born to build civilizations, and that forgetting is exactly what oppressive systems depend on. Until next time, okuhle, umusa, kanye nokukhanya ekuhambeni kwakho. Light, mercy, and blessings on your path. Ubizo Daily, the call continues.